More on the Giannis injury from last night, soleus muscle in the calf. Ty Windisch joins us now, our friend from the Gyro Step podcast. That'd be Gyro. Get it? Gyro Creek. I love it. Ty, good morning. How are you, my friend?
A lot better after I woke up to relatively encouraging Giannis news. I mean, I was hoping for maybe he's totally fine and it was all a misunderstanding. We didn't quite get that, but not the big A concern that I think you always kind of have a lump in your throat about when you see a guy go down non-contact like that.
All right. So I want you to tell me a pretty story here. Give me the best case scenario if we're without Giannis for 2.5 weeks. Let's say it's the entire first round of the playoffs. Go ahead. Paint me the best case scenario in his absence.
I think it is a combination of the end of the 2021 Hawks series against Atlanta, where we saw Drew Holiday at the time, but then a lot of guys still here in Milwaukee, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, etc., come together and say, we're not giving up just because our guy's out for a while, and go and really win a series against the Atlanta Hawks that was kind of not maybe in doubt, but was a contested series. Atlanta won a game against Giannis early in that series. And a combination of Damian Lillard's whole career kind of being undermanned and going up against other teams. And this is a guy who's gone to the conference finals before out there in the West. Didn't go great for him against the Warriors. Then again, not many series against the Warriors since Steph Curry and those guys become what they are have gone great for the other teams. So I think there is a realistic picture to paint that this team could get by without Giannis for long enough. I don't know if Giannis himself will be able to be contained from playing in the first round at all, but I do think a lot of it may depend on how these other guys look. And I do think there's a realistic, let's let Dame and these guys go. There's a lot of talented players. It's going to be probably a tough first-round matchup. Who knows, though? Seeding in the East is up for grabs. But I think these are players that have shown, at least for a while, not for the whole playoffs, of course, but for a while, they can get by without Giannis. I think that is the best-case scenario. I think it's what has to happen for the Bucks, at least for part of that series.
Ty, isn't that why the trade was made for Dame? You looked at it the last 2 years. There's been injuries. They haven't been able to kind of survive those injuries. You go out and get Dame. And to me, am I wrong in thinking that's why the trade was made, to be able to overcome some of this and get to that, second round, third round in Boston? Milwaukee will not beat Boston without Giannis, but I do think they can get through the first round.
Yeah, I do too. And I think it's a big part of the reason, for sure. I mean, I think the real is like, okay, Dame, Giannis, and Chris, our half-court offense will finally be good. And they've still had some struggles, but for the most part, they've been very good when all three play. But for sure, I mean, that's always, it's an embarrassment of riches on stars. And we've seen as recently as that Suns game where Giannis didn't play. The Dame was able to go out and put up 36, and the Bucks won a nice game against Phoenix. And I think the Suns were down like 34-4 or something. I mean, they have their own problems this year. But still, I think the point remains that, you have a superstar level player you can drop in. And I mean, we've seen it almost feels like his problems have been more fit related than actual play related this year with the Bucks. When they've just said, hey, Dame, go run 30 pick and rolls, he can still go do Dame stuff. And I think that gives you a much higher ceiling even than the last time the Bucks had to do this in 21. And certainly you look at, not wishing anything, but like if Chris misses a few games at some point the rest of the way, probably will miss tonight back to back. You've still got ball handling juice. It's when both those guys are out that you lose that. You don't have much off the bench, but still having Dame is a much higher floor than the Bucks have seen in previous years with one of their stars out.
All right, exit question. Where do you stand on Doc Rivers at this point in the season?
We're calling him Mr. Rivers on the pod, if that kind of speaks to the answer of the question. We're questioning the doctorate. I thought last night he did well. I think the last week, I haven't loved what we've seen, hence the Mr. Rivers thing. But overall, it's been touch and go. I am encouraged that he made the lineup change. I mean, I think the starting lineup as a whole has still been great, but I do think they needed some more juice, some more defense, some more ball movement versus trying to just seek out all these threes with Malik Beasley. I think it worked against Boston. I anticipate Patrick Beverley will start the rest of the way. Who knows who's going to start now with the Giannis question you've got to figure out. Jay Crowder for sure is going to be back in the rotation, I think. But it's been a little touch and go, but I like what we've seen. I like that he's experimenting. I like that AJ Green is still getting minutes. But realistically, here's his big test to see, if we on the Eurostep give him that doctorate back, managing this non-Giannis and making sure Giannis doesn't come back too early. I think we criticized Doc for playing him too much through this injury. want to make sure that they're very careful.
Yeah. All right. Any thoughts real quick on the foul dry up and last night's game being a historical anomaly in the league? No free throws for Boston, only 2 for the Bucks.
Mark Davis must have had somewhere to be, is what it seems like. I mean, I thought it was great. I mean, the game was over in 2 hours, and you're not sitting there and just watching foul shots all night. I wish more games were like that. I think there were a couple moments where it was pretty ridiculous. I mean, there was some back and forth, like 4 times in a row. It felt like someone got fouled on a drive. But I thought it was a nice game of basketball. I think it's very funny that you'll see Celtics fans, like, they say the league isn't biased against us. Look at this, like, as if the Bucks didn't make 1 total free throw and shoot 2 the whole night. But I wish more games were like it. I had no issue with it whatsoever. And but it was crazy to see. I mean, 1 combined make 2 combined attempts, I think never has happened. I mean, that is bewildering, especially to happen on TNT. That's a bewildering thing to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, 2-hour game. Easy to get home in that amount of time, but I would dare say in the playoffs, if we see a no free throw game, people are going to lose their mind.
True.
Fan bases will go absolutely nuclear if this is a play.
Okay.
It's called the Gyro Step Podcast, all things Bucks and NBA. Ty does a great job with it. GYRO Step, like Euro Step, but Gyro. Find it wherever you get your podcast. Ty, good to talk to you, my friend, and we'll check in as developments warrant as we head toward the playoffs.
Sounds great. Appreciate you guys having me back, and hopefully less dire news to talk about next time.
Oh, yeah. No, Butch says it'll be our finest hour. He says this is our Apollo 13.
Yeah.
Moment.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
We'll land in the
Well,
ocean. There will be fun.
Well, then you better get those scrubbers from the landing unit and put duct tape on them because we're going to need every bit of it. All right. Thank you, Ty. Coming up,